You're listening to the Style and Stewardship podcast. So what is stewardship? That is exactly what we'll be talking about in each and every episode of this podcast. As Christ followers, I think it's so important that we manage every single area of our lives to the best of our ability. Not perfectly, but intentionally in our own unique way, and holding on to God's grace every single step of our journey. On this podcast, I'll be sharing thoughts, things that God's teaching me, and transparent talks. My hope is that when you listen, you'll feel equipped, you'll be encouraged, and more than anything, I hope that you're inspired to live out your day-to-day calling in your own unique way. This podcast is for the woman who wants to hear, "Well done." Whatever we manage and whatever we steward, it takes us being intentional. It takes us living intentionally. And one of the things that is really, really clear to me is that we're not going to manage well on purpose by accident. We're not going to steward well without being intentional. And I have to be completely real with you. There's been something that I have been personally struggling with because for several reasons. But what God has reminded me about stewardship, anything that we steward is bigger than us. It's about more than us because it is going to affect whomever God has placed in our sphere, in our life, whether it's friendships, whether it is, whether they're coworkers. Our lives are always going to touch someone else's lives, and our lives are always going to have some sort of impact on someone else's life, Lord willing, for the good, And I can start with the very first blog that I started back in 2013. 2013 was basically, it was a food and faith blog. This blog began as that as well. And going through a lot of my own personal health things, from food allergies and intolerances to a bunch of other things, I stepped away from that and I focused more so on just the faith aspect. And what has been coming back up for me is that, I went and got, my certification to be a holistic nutritionist. I did all this stuff, and it wasn't even to bring any of that necessarily to Style and Stewardship. I even thought about and started creating a whole separate blog, a whole separate thing for it. And my husband said something to me, and he was just like, why would you do that when this can help people? And I just, I'm wrestling with all these different things, and I'm like, well, I'm not, where I want to be, wellness wise and things like that. And, he had to remind me, he's been talking to me a lot. God uses my husband a lot, but just reminding me that stewardship isn't about perfection. And it's something that I've said to all of you, is like, stewardship is not perfection, and I'm not going to stand before you perfectly, but you still have these areas where you want to show up perfectly. I'm just going to be real about that. You want to show up with everything, having done it all, having, crossed that marker for yourself. So you have this, see, look what I did kind of feeling, and it's just, that's not what this is about. And I don't ever want to be, edited a bunch, like even this podcast. I don't always edit it. I'm trying to step up, my editing skills a little bit and adding music in there and whatnot, but it's just a reminder that whatever we steward is bigger than us, and it's not just about us. So I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to share with you that I'm going to get back to the original purpose of this blog and the original purpose of this podcast, and that is to share with you the different things that God has me working through and stewarding to the best of my ability in my own way, so that hopefully it can be an encouragement and inspiration and a challenge to you to use whatever it is in your life and to purposely manage what matters most. and we think about a lot of the different areas of our lives, and we don't give a lot of credit to some of the things that we have been able to learn and some of the things that we've gone through. Those things are always, in my opinion, this is just the way that I feel about it. It's always bigger than us, and it's always for someone else, not just for us. Yes, we're affected by it, but it can be an impact on somebody else's life. So I just wanted to share that quickly, so you know kind of what's coming up, in case you're like, oh, there's more wellness podcasts, and she's talking a lot more about nutrition. I've got to, because I want to see you well, and I want you to be well in every sense, and what I bring to the table is one of those things where it's like, well, does anybody really care what I have to say about this? But there's always going to be something like that for you, for all of us, where we think, do people really care about this or care about that, or what I have to say about this topic? And from me to you, yes, there is someone who would love to hear what it is that you are stewarding. So until the next episode, your life matters. What you do with it matters. So what will you steward well?